Morning, Skyline. Hope each of you have had a good morning. A little bit cooler this morning. Maybe we'll have fall getting here pretty quickly, hopefully anyway. Appreciate the song leading, Brad. John Adam, appreciate the prayer. Appreciate each of you being here. We've got several of our members out, but we also have several of our several visitors here with us. And it's good to see each and every one of you. We got a men's overnight fishing trip coming up, and I know there's probably 30 or so men planning to go there. There's an instance in the Bible where the apostles fished all night and they didn't catch anything at all. Well, I hope that's not the case here, because we're going to be eating what the guys catch at our overnight church retreat coming up. So I know all the guys have a great time together over there fishing, and I'm sure it's still not too late if some of you guys that hadn't jumped in there want to jump in there. They'll find a spot for you somewhere. But then also the church retreat coming up. I hope you've been thinking about that as well. If you can't spend the night there at the park, if you can come and then go back home, that'll be fine too. But we'd really appreciate each and every one of our members being there at the church retreat. Also, pictures. Leanna's sick, so she won't be able to take pictures, but Kendra's going to take some pictures. Did you bring your camera? You got it. Got the camera. All right. So let's get our pictures taken. Those of you who are not satisfied with the picture that's in the directory, Kendra will take another one of you. Those of you who have not had your picture taken, that you should have, and it should be in the directory. Let's get that taken care of too, because I'd like to get an updated directory for all of us, and then we'll also be able to update our Facebook pictures there. So anyway, lots of stuff going on, and so we just need to pay attention, and we can get all this stuff done. Adam and Eve ate of the forbidden fruit, and they were cast out of the Garden of Eden. The wickedness of man was great upon the earth, and every intent of the thoughts of his heart was evil. And God caused a flood to destroy all the earth. At the Tower of Babel, man said, "Let us make a name for ourselves." And God confused their language and scattered them forever. The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah was great, and their sin was grievous. So God rained fire and brimstone upon them. The 10 spies cried out, "Wow, we saw giants in the land, and we were like grasshoppers in their sight." And all the people cried and wept all night long. And because of their unbelief, God caused their carcasses to fall in the wilderness. And the people of God cried out, "Give us a king just like our neighbors have." And God said, "You will cry out because of these kings, but I won't hear your voice." And God said, "Be careful to observe all the statutes and ordinances and judgments which I set before you." But God's people chose not to obey. And the northern tribe of Israel was taken into Assyrian captivity, and the southern tribe of Judah was taken into Babylonian captivity. And among those taken captive were some of the good guys. Some of the prominent prophets and individuals who loved God and who obeyed his word, yet they were caught up in that captivity because of the sin of others. We've got Jeremiah, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. They were caught up in the captivity and carried into captivity, though they had been faithful to God. 1 Corinthians 10. Verses 5 and 6. Nevertheless, with most of them, God was not well pleased, for they were laid low in the wilderness. Now these things happened as examples for us, that we should not crave evil things. And then in verse 10 and 11, nor grumble as some of them did and were destroyed by the destroyer. Now these things happened to them as an example, and they were written for our instruction, upon whom the ends of the ages have come. In Acts 3:22, that was read to us. Now, this is in Peter's second sermon. We hear a lot about Peter's first sermon. Don't hear a whole lot about his second sermon. But this is what's said regarding Jesus Christ. The Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from your brethren. Him you shall hear in all things, whatever he says to you. And it shall come to pass that every soul who will not hear that prophet shall be utterly destroyed from among the people. Folks, we are in that period that's spoken about there right now. We're in that period of history right now, where the ending to this proclamation, to hear him in all things, is being borne out. We are the audience to that particular proclamation there. And it says, and it shall come to pass that every soul who will not hear, who will not obey, who will not render obedience to that prophet shall be utterly destroyed. God himself in Matthew 17:5 told Peter, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. We can turn over to Romans. Turn back to Romans 15:4. For whatever was written in earlier times was written for our instruction, that through perseverance and the encouragement of the scriptures we might have hope. See, we can read what happened in the Old Testament to those who did not obey. See, we can read that and we can know how God feels about things when he gives us or gives his people certain commands. We can get into the mind of God. We can get into his thoughts and say, I wonder what God thinks about this. Well, we can look back and we can find out exactly how God thinks about what he says, what he commands. It's there. It says. That's the reason it's given to us. Somehow we have to come to understand that God exists, okay? And since he created the universe, the world, this earth, every human being, because he created us, he has the right to tell us how to live. God has the right to tell us to do certain things. He has the right to command that we do certain things. Why? Because he is God and he made us. He sustains us. He has the right to tell the whole earth what to do. And in the several examples that we just mentioned, we see that God has allowed things to occur. He's allowed physical punishment. He's allowed severe hardships, even loss of life to occur. Now, this is not the final judgment, but he's allowed things to occur because of what the people did, how they lived, what they said, what they believed in real time during their lives. Now, it's very possible, and I believe probable, that God does give us some warnings. And these warnings may come upon us before the final judgment. It's already occurred before. We've just read about it. About not only warnings, but even punishments that's occurred. And we're told that this is given to us as an example, so we may learn. It's given to us for our instruction, so we may know. Consider Ephesians 5:6. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things, the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Not will come, but it says comes. Romans 1:18. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. The wrath of God is revealed. Not will be revealed, but is revealed. With the hurricanes, the fires, the floods, the shootings, the terrorists, the violence, and world events, it could be that a few warnings, have already been administered to us as a people, as a nation, and even to the world. However, we're not taking the hint. We're not taking the hint. Could it be that the economic and living conditions in other countries around the world, and in some of them, even the economic and living conditions of those in the United States at the time during the Revolutionary War, even those living conditions are far better than many living conditions now around the world? Is it possible maybe that the world's disapproval of God or failure to believe in God, is it possible that some of the problems that they have is because of their denial of God? I don't know, but it's something to think about. Just as, could it be that the good times America has enjoyed was because maybe our belief and respect for God at one time was pretty high? Yeah, there's going to be a separation of the sheep from the goats at the time of judgment. But there very well could be a warning of sorts to us before then. What will it look like? I don't know. I don't know. Another huge hurricane. Another Katrina. That was huge. I don't know if any of you actually worked in that cleanup, but I went with my son and the group from over in Amory. You know, Joyce and I and our family lived down there on the coast where it hit. That was devastating, devastating. Will it be another hurricane, a financial collapse, a famine, a drought, another terrorist attack, an Islamic uprising? I don't know. Nuclear bomb detonated in the U.S.? I don't know. Wickedness has always existed in every society. Even when a nation of people are being blessed by God, there's always some wicked people in that group. It always is. But it may be me. It just seems like right now that within our country we are embracing wickedness more than we ever have in the past. It seems like we're just throwing out lots of things that God hates, and we're taking them into our lives. It seems like whatever God tells us not to do, we're doing. And it just feels like we're taking all of these bad things into the very fabric of our society and people. And I believe the evidence is mounting up, that we are really, really trying the patience of God. God's given us plenty of time turn things around. Plenty of opportunity. Yet, it seems like things are getting worse. Hot off the press, Fort Collins, Colorado, beautiful town, formally just removed a public ordinance that banned women from going topless in public. Now, don't any of you faint. Tenth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that the law discriminated against women because the men could go topless, but the women couldn't. So the ruling with the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, now that's higher than now just a federal judge. This ruling makes female toplessness legal in 6 states: Colorado, Kansas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Utah, and Wyoming. If this trend is to be averted, it's going to be because of the Christians here at Skyline. And it's going to be because of Christians around the world. Because we choose to walk lock and step with God's instructions. And we go to him in prayer, asking for his patience with us as a people. That's the only way it's going to be averted, is that we keep the prayers going up from this place to God on behalf of America. And I believe we can do it. But right now, our country's in a sad state of sin. Material mindedness, selfishness, political correctness, you name the sin, we've got it covered. We've got it covered. We're no longer as concerned about biblically, morally, or ethically correct. We're not concerned about that anymore as we have in the past. And we are forcing God to take a back seat to what we do. Ideas of men have replaced God's law. And in part, we've allowed this to happen. You know, we haven't stood up to those we should have. We haven't gone to council meetings. We haven't challenged politicians as we should. We failed to elect representatives who love God. And obviously, Satan's been hard at work as well. We remember that political battle cry of, "I will fundamentally transform the United States of America." Well, there has been a transformation of America. Isaiah 5:20-21 talks about it. He said, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." And to me, this has never been more prevalent than in our culture, in our sexual orientation, in gender, in marriage, in what constitutes a family, in abortion. The shift, the transformation is shown here in these areas more than in any other areas. There's been even been a conscious attempt to put a spin on certain words, okay? For instance, we know the word pro-life is used to designate a person who believes in the sanctity of life, basically against abortion, a person being against abortion. On the other side of the coin, normally the word that would be used to denote a person who does not believe in the sanctity of life would be anti-life. That is, against the life of the unborn child. Pro-life for the right of life, anti-life, the opposite, against the right of life of the baby. However, you know, the word anti, that doesn't sound too good. That doesn't sound too good. And that word was not chosen. Another word was chosen, and it's pro-choice. See, that has a better ring to it. That has a better sound to it. We all love choice. Choice is a good thing. But in reality, pro-choice is a cozy phrase to make murder look attractive. It's a sly, clever, deceiving statement. After all, who's going to be against choice? In this manner, abortion, murder, evil is made to look good with the word pro-choice. Now, woe unto those who call evil good and good evil. See, we've stepped over into that category. Another example is the word gay. In the past, we know what gay meant, to be happy, glad, etc. Why in the world would anyone choose the word gay to describe someone who commits homosexuality? Well, it's another attempt to corrupt the word. A word that is otherwise happy within our society, to give some sort of man-made legitimacy to all kinds of depravity. So by changing the word gay from meaning to be happy and glad, which is a good thing, to gay meaning that being a homosexual or sodomite, which is evil in the sight of God, makes sinful actions sound more acceptable. Thus, another instance of taking something good and making it evil. Careful now, we're getting into that area. Woe unto those who call evil good and good evil. What about the idea of the rainbow? It's always been a wonderful connotation to the rainbow. Beautiful, beautiful colors, bright, vibrant, meaning very special to Christians, given to believers of God, with a rainbow, a sign that the world never be destroyed by water again. You know, it was like God speaking to us every time we saw this rainbow. You know, God's telling us things. However, the rainbow was lifted by the LGBTQ community and made into a sign to unite their movements, you see. One could say that it's almost a sign from God approving of this lifestyle. So the rainbow, a sign from God, a good thing, has been hijacked into a sign signifying the homosexual movement, which is evil in the sight of God. Woe, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. Yes, the world has been turned upside down with abortion, simply murdering of an unborn child. We've talked about the abortion argument being extended to infanticide, which allows a baby to be born alive, but then one makes the conscious decision to take that live baby and withhold medical assistance to it. And there, when it first started happening, I read that the baby was placed on a table in a utility room. In a utility room. And left to die. And I'm told in the articles that it takes about 2 hours for that to happen. And now individuals, some of these hospitals, they've kind of spruced up a room to make it look a little prettier, okay, than a linen closet. And they take the child in there and leave them. And because of the history of infanticide in other parts of the world and in other cultures, a movement right now going on is to rename this act after birth abortion. After birth abortion. They say that this will emphasize the moral status, okay, of the individual killed. It will be comparable with that of a fetus, okay, and not a real child. So we're going to rename it after birth abortion. Woe, Woe to those who call good evil and evil good. I'm running out of time, and so I'm going to have to skip. I'm going to have to give you the rest of this lesson a little later. But this morning, what about your thoughts? What about your thoughts? In your life, have you called or changed good to be evil? Or do you aspire for evil to be good? What about it? What about it? We get frustrated, okay, irritated and bothered by this stuff that's happening. That which is good being called evil, and that which is evil being called good. It irks me to no end. It gets me fired up, if anything. But despite what's going on around us, we have to overcome tendencies, okay, to doubt the Bible because of all of these people who's throwing doubt on the Bible. We have to fight tendencies to doubt the Bible as being God's word, okay, because of all the lunacy going around saying that, hey, you know, this is foolish to believe in God and believe in God's word. That's just a book of fables. The Bible is just a book of fables. We have to fight the tendency to that all of this has an effect on us where we fail to serve God and serve others. We cannot stop being the children of God. We can't do it. We have to continue to pray to Him, specifically pray to Him about things going on. Our prayers will rise here, okay, holy and acceptable to God, that sweet aroma that He wants to smell with our obedience to His will. We cannot allow those who are calling good evil to have an effect on us, either as a family of God or as individuals. And we cannot fail to be that godly example to others around us, no matter how others act or what others say. In closing, 2 Corinthians 1, 3-5 says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort." Don't jump off the deep end now because of all of this happening. God of all comfort, who comforts us in all of our afflictions, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. And you see, I see that comfort in so many things happening here within our family. Mike can barely usher people out the door after services. Why? Because we are comforting each other. We are edifying each other. We are talking with each other. We don't want to leave. We don't want to leave. And that's one thing Joyce's sister noticed and said about our congregation. She says, "Man, y'all got some folks who want to come to church, don't you?" Now think about that. Think about that. A family of people who actually look forward to coming together. Wow. Yeah, I think we do. And when we get here, we don't want to leave either. Or when we leave, we just jump in each other's cars and we go out and continue to fellowship somewhere else. That's what happened to the 15 wives the other night, and we were almost trampled upon by the young folks that come in. Again, two whole groups, okay? Two whole groups. See, that's what it's all about, and that's what it's going to take for us to stay on the right track. For the sake of ourselves, our country, our families, our spiritual family, we can't give up nor give in to the ways of the world. If for some reason this morning, if you have not been baptized, Hebrews 5:9 says, he became to all those who obey him the source of eternal salvation. To all those who obey him, the source of eternal salvation. Matthew 28:18, Jesus himself says, go, make disciples, baptize them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. So baptism, that is a command. You need to be baptized if you haven't been. Or if you've been baptized and you've gotten off the path of following Jesus, you need to come back. And we can help you with that as well this morning. Any reason we can help you, let it be made known now while we stand and sing.